Here at Choice Tax Relief, we work with a lot of folks who are self-employed. They may be a 1099 independent contractor, or they might even have a corporation or an LLC, and they have a few employees. They're essentially a small business owner. These folks get in tax trouble too. And a common thing we see with small business owners and independent contractors is amid their busyness of running their business or doing whatever they're doing, sometimes they fall behind in filing their tax returns. And that's something that we help them do. We file back tax returns. So we figure out what tax returns should be filed, what tax returns are in the best interest for our client to file. And very often it's these 1099 folks who have never filed taxes or who haven't filed taxes in recent memory that can really get in deep doo-doo with the IRS. So in this video, I'm going to tell you 7 things. 7 things that could happen to you if you're self-employed and never file taxes. And they're going to kind of go from like least concerning to most concerning. So the first thing that might happen to you is absolutely nothing. Yes, it's true. Truth be told, it's completely possible that nothing will happen to you if you're self-employed and never file taxes. This is especially true if your income is not reported to you on, say, a Form 1099. Now, don't get me wrong. Even if your business is completely cash-based and none of your income is reported on a 1099 to you, you are still required to report that income on a tax return. It is the law, and it is a federal crime to willfully fail to file a required tax return. However, and this may change in the future, I'm not making any recommendations of your course of action based on this at all. All I'm saying is, for now, it's quite unlikely that the IRS will be able to hunt you down for your unreported income and unfiled taxes without at least some tax documents being filed in your name. Now, that being said, the IRS does catch folks who do not file their tax returns. They do catch folks, business owners, who do not file their tax returns. Okay. I just recently covered a case from a yoga CEO. I think Yoga to the People or something like that. I created a video about this guy, how he never filed tax returns for himself or his business, and they did all this crazy cash-based stuff. Well, he got caught, and he may be going to jail. Okay. Link to that video here at the upper right-hand corner of the screen. But, many folks, they don't get caught, and that's the reality. But then many do. And if you do get caught, that's really not a place you want to be, folks. Okay, really not a place you want to be. Okay, second consequence of being self-employed and not filing your taxes is loss of refunds. Right? Now, while it's not likely that you're going to be owed a refund as a self-employed person unless you made estimated tax payments during the year, or we have a year like 2021 where they're giving away stimulus credits and child tax credit, through the roof, right? Apart from something like that. But, it's conceivable that maybe you may be due for a refund for one or some of the years that you've been self-employed and never filed taxes. Okay. You could be eligible for credits like the earned income credit or other refundable tax credits that could eliminate your self-employment tax liability as well as your regular income tax liability and put cash in your pocket. However, if you don't file your taxes, you will miss out on those refunds. There is a 3-year time limit to when you can file a return and get a refund for that year. That 3 years starts from the original due date of the return or the extended due date of the return if you got an extension. So for example, let's say we're talking about let's say you were owed a refund for tax year 2024. Okay. The due date for 2024 taxes is April 15th, 2025. So therefore, you have until April 15th, 2028, right? And there's adjustments for weekends and holidays, right? If the 15th is on a Sunday or whatever, right? It gets pushed back. But you have 3 years, right, from the due date of the return to file that return and get a refund for it. So you'd have until April 15th, 2028 to file your 2024 return and get a refund for that return. If you file an extension, it'd be until October 15th, 2028, okay? Number 3 consequence of being self-employed and never filing your taxes: inability to obtain financing. Not filing your tax returns could make it more difficult for you to take out loans, especially as a self-employed person who doesn't have a tidy little W-2 they can give a lender. Now, even for W-2 folks, if you're getting a mortgage, they often want tax returns as well. If you've ever gotten a mortgage, you know this, right? Lenders like tax returns. That said, it is possible to get financing as a business owner without submitting tax returns, right? There are lenders who will still do, bank statement loans. This is a bit rarer, you may be paying a little bit more, but it could be possible. But let's just say maybe your ability to obtain the best kind of financing is going to get tougher, or the easiest kind of financing can be tougher if you don't file your tax returns in a long time. Number 4 consequence, loss of Social Security benefits, right? So if you know anything about Social Security, you know that if you were born after 1928, as the vast majority of people on Earth today were born after 1928, you need 40 credits to qualify for Social Security benefits, okay? As long as you make a minimum amount of money during the year through wages or self-employments, you are awarded up to 4 credits for the year, right? Right now, that amount is about $1,500 per credit. So if you earn at least $6,000 during the year in wages or self-employment income, you will get those 4 credits during the year, right? Now, this is just for eligibility for Social Security, right? Your actual payments are based on your 30 highest earning years, right? And if you're not, if you never file a return, you're self-employed, and you don't have 40 credits in the system, you may not be getting Social Security. And B, if you're not reporting some of your highest earning years, right, on your taxes as a self-employed person, even if you do qualify for Social Security, you'd probably be getting less than you would had you reported your returns correctly. Now, of course, there's debates over how effectively, although Social Security, it shouldn't really be viewed like as an investment, right? It's a social safety net. But still, on an individual basis, I understand, the argument, hey, I'd be better off not putting any money into Social Security and just taking it and investing it myself. Yes, I get that argument. But the fact remains, right? There could be a loss of Social Security benefits if you don't file your required tax returns. Okay, number 5 consequence of being self-employed and not filing your tax returns. The IRS may file a tax return for you, and this can be devastating if not dealt with, okay? If your self-employment income is reported to you on a 1099, there's a good chance, and the chance is higher the bigger the numbers on your 1099 are, that the IRS will prepare a tax return for you. The IRS prepared returns are called substitute for returns, okay? Substitutes for return. I have a whole video about SFRs, substitute for returns, here at the upper right-hand corner of the screen, if you want to learn more about that process, how the IRS does those. But for business owners and self-employed folks, the rough thing about SFRs is that when the IRS prepares an SFR for you, it does not give you any business deductions. The SFR will simply calculate your tax liability essentially based on your gross business income on the 1099, right? And you know, as a business owner, that your gross income and your net income are often light years apart, okay? Some of you are in businesses where a good profit margin is 10%, right? That means if you gross $500,000 in your business and your 1099 says 500,000, or your 1099K, for credit card processing or whatever it is, or your 1099 NEC, right, for services performed as a non-employee independent contractor, you may only be making $50,000, right? So $450,000 there is the difference, okay? So, $50,000, that's a decent, income, but compared to $500,000, that's a big difference, right? So, but if the IRS prepares a return for you, they're going to base your tax liability not on that $50,000 that includes all your business expenses, but on that $500,000. Isn't that crazy? But that's how it works. Same things with personal deductions. You're not going to get any itemized deductions. They're just going to take the standard deduction for you. They're not going to give you any credits for any of your dependents. They're going to assume you have no dependents. They're going to assume, if they think you're unmarried, they're going to assume your filing status is single. Even if you had filed, you'd qualify for head of household. If the IRS believes you're married, they're going to do married filing separately as opposed to married filing jointly. So you don't want to be in a situation where the IRS files this return for you. If this has happened to you, we here at Choice Tax Relief can help. You got to be careful in filing these SFR protest returns to replace the SFR because they get looked at, right, and scrutinized. It's better for you to get ahead of that game, ahead of the SFR, and just file on your own, right, or pay someone to file for you. because there's less scrutiny there. Number 6, potential consequence of being self-employed and not filing your tax returns is identity theft. If you don't file a tax return in your name with your social security number, somebody else might. This isn't super common, but it does happen. This is why the IRS has issued IP pins to some of you, right? But you can prevent this by filing your own tax return. Because if you file your tax return and then somebody else attempts to file a tax return for that year with your social, that second return will be rejected. Now, number 7 consequence, and you probably knew this was coming, but number 7, last and most severe consequence, at least I'm listing in this video, of not filing your tax return is federal prison. Okay, yes, you can go to federal prison for not filing your taxes. People do every year. This is a federal crime. All right, here I am at section 7203 of the Internal Revenue Code. Any person required under this title, basically the Internal Revenue Code, any person required to make a return, let's file a tax return, who willfully fails to make such return shall, in addition to other penalties provided by law, be guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $25,000 or imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both, together with the costs of prosecution. Okay? Now, that is simply for a willful failure to file your tax return. Okay? A required tax return. If the government can also show that your willful failure to file your tax return was as part of an attempt to evade tax, to not pay your taxes, okay, not just, oh, you know, I put it off and I was intending to do it and pay it, but I just didn't get around to it, but this was part of a willful attempt to evade tax, well, that's a felony, okay? Any person who willfully attempts in any manner to evade or defeat any tax, and a common way people try to evade tax is by not filing their tax returns imposed by this title or the payment thereof, shall, in addition to other penalties provided by law, be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $100,000 or imprisoned not more than 5 years, or both, together with the costs of prosecution. So not fun, folks. Not fun at all. If you're self-employed, you haven't filed your tax returns, you have multiple years of unfiled returns, call us today. 866-8000-TAX, 866-8000-829. Call us at Choice Tax Relief, or visit us online, choicetaxrelief.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. We will reach out to you. We'll give you a quote for your tax returns. Take it from there. I also have some other videos on the left-hand side of the screen here about what to do if you have unfiled returns. They're very good. I would know because I made them. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.